The Shure SM7B and the Rodecaster Pro is easily a lot of people's dream setup. This is a really good, high quality, standalone setup where you have everything that you need. You don't even need to connect to a computer. This thing will record to an SD card. Now, for the purposes of this video, we have factory reset the Rodecaster Pro, except one thing. We did go in to the microphone setting and we turned off all the processing. I recommend that you do this at the beginning of your setup as well. And then other than that, we just put in an SD card. Now I'm going to hit record, and now everything that we do on this device, you will be able to hear when it's time. Right now you're listening to the lav mic that's clipped onto me. You can see a logo up in the top corner that has an image of the lav mic. If this changes for any reason, once you hear the Shure SM7B, you will see a picture of the Shure SM7B in the top corner. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put on my headphones. One note about headphones and podcasting is that closed back headphones generally do a better job of preventing the microphone from hearing your headphones, but open back headphones will do a better job of being more comfortable for a long podcast. So if you are doing 3-hour podcasts, you might want open back because they won't get as hot and they're lighter weight and more comfortable. We do have some recommendations again down in the links below. So first of all, we're going to set up the Shure SM7B. We have the alternate windscreen on it right now. This is the windscreen that is most recommended for voiceover applications, just so you know. There is a smaller primary windscreen that looks better on camera, but this is the better one for podcasting. Now, as we set up this microphone, we want to make sure that we keep it within a fist of our mouth. We're going to talk about some other recommendations for it as we move forward. Next, we're going to take an XLR cable. We're going to connect the microphone to the Rodecaster Pro. We use Canary XLR cables. They are the highest quality Star Quad studio cables that we know of, where you can get them in a variety of colors. We find that really nice for podcasting and troubleshooting in the home studio. We connect it from the microphone to the Rodecaster Pro. So there is no master fader on the Rodecaster Pro. So how we're going to start setting this microphone up is we're going to bring the fader of the first channel where we connected the microphone up to this more bold hash mark. You're going to see that the meters are lit up here. Just ignore that for now. I don't consider the channel to be set up, so we're just going to ignore these meters. Now the reason that we set it at this middle hash mark here is because this gives us a great deal of headroom. Now if we set up the whole channel with it at this middle position, throughout the podcast it could get quieter or louder and we can react to that. What you don't want to do, for example, is start with all the faders pinned to 10 out of 10. This would not give you any headroom. Now you have nowhere to go if you need to turn somebody up throughout your podcast. We don't recommend doing this. We recommend starting right at this middle hash mark. Now we're going to select channel 1. We go back to the microphone settings here. And for the microphone settings, we're going to click dynamic. Now in a little bit, we're going to discuss when you might want to use the condenser mode, but for now, let's select dynamic. We can ignore all the other buttons now. Next, we need to go to level. This is where there's some interesting points about the SM7B with the Rodecaster Pro. For my taste and my ear, once you go above 40 on the level, you start to get quite a bit of hiss. That's because the preamp inside this audio mixer is just working really hard. The Shure SM7B is a notoriously hard to power microphone, so you typically need a lot of gain, they call it level here, to power this microphone or to get it into the working range that you need it to be. So if you are a close talker, if you're really comfortable being up on the microphone here, you can see that we can get into what Rode would call the sweet spot, this green line here, and that is acceptable. We're at level 35. We haven't pushed it that hard. If you're into that level right there, then you don't need any extra gear. You don't need an inline preamp. You don't need more cables. You don't need anything like that. You can get a really good recording like this. But if you stay about a fist away, which I find a lot more comfortable for podcasting, I don't like having the microphone really like right up in my face, then you're going to notice that you have to turn this level up. Now for your voice, like for me right now, I'm in the sweet spot. I'm super happy with this. I think I would get good level and my recording would turn out fine like this, especially if I turned up the meter just a little bit or the fader here just a little bit. But if you can't get in that green line there with the level below 40 or 40 or below, then I would highly recommend that you put an inline preamp like the Cloudlifter. I'm going to show you what happens and what I mean. So if I back up off this microphone a little bit, then we have to turn the level up to get it going. If you're wearing headphones right now, you should hear that, when we get up to 50, there's a great deal of hiss. We really hear that preamp working, and that's not a good thing to have in your recording. So what we can do is we can turn the level all the way down. So we're going to take this XLR cable, so it comes from the microphone. We're going to plug it into the Cloudlifter. Then we're going to take another XLR cable. We still use these same Canary XLR cables. This is why we like using the colored ones, right? Because you can see exactly what I'm doing. For podcasting as well, maybe you want to get a pink one, a green one, a blue one, a yellow one, and all lines up with the mixer here. I think that's a good idea. So we're going to connect that to the audio mixer. So basically what the Cloudlifter does is it trades phantom power for 25 dB of clean gain to the microphone. Now, the Shure SM7B is a dynamic microphone. It doesn't require phantom power, but now it does because we're using the Cloudlifter. So we're going to go back into the channel setup here. You can see right now there's no level whatsoever coming through. So we have two options to fix this. The first way is to turn on phantom power here. Once we do that, you can see that this meter totally lights up. The other option is to go back to the microphone setting and select condenser. If we select condenser, that will also turn on phantom power. That's the only difference between the condenser and the dynamic modes, is the condenser mode has phantom power. Next, we're going to turn this level up to about 35. Let's go 34. So if you remember, last time I was projecting at my most animated self at 40, and we were a couple blocks below this. Now we're at 34, so we don't even need that much. We can do 33 probably, 32. So that's the difference that the Cloudlifter makes, is it really takes a lot of the pressure off the preamps on the Rodecaster here. So if you can get away with having the level set to 40 or below, then you don't need the Cloudlifter. If you can't do that, if you're more soft-spoken than I am, then unfortunately, I think you do need some type of inline preamp. The Cloudlifter is just the most popular. We will put some other links down in the description as well, but you will probably need some sort of inline preamp to make the Shure SM7B work like you're expecting it to. Okay, now we got that out of the way, let's look at the other audio settings that we have inside of the Rodcaster here. So we're going to look at the audio processing section. The first thing that we're going to look at, and the reason that I turned all this off, is that these things do affect gain. So I like setting up the gain and microphone settings first, and then you come to the audio processing, because all these shaping tools do affect that output volume. So I like to have that nailed down first. Okay, so first, what does the compressor do? The compressor will narrow the dynamic range of this input. A really crude way of explaining it is that it basically acts as an auto mixer. If you get really quiet, it'll automatically add a little bit of gain. If you get really loud and animated, there's a threshold and a compression ratio, and it'll squish you down. So it makes it a little bit more predictable. That way you're not riding the faders your whole podcast trying to keep everything in check, especially if you have a couple of guys on the podcast or ladies that are really animated. So I'm going to turn that on now. You will hear it get just a little bit chunkier and a little bit more squished. It can take a little bit of personality when you narrow the dynamic range or that volume range of a guest. So it is something to be cautious of. If somebody's really animated, it will kind of take a little bit of their personality away. Next, we have the high pass filter. The high pass filter, put simply, will take this microphone out of everybody's subwoofer that's listening to it. There's not a lot of intelligibility frequencies below 120 hertz. It's just getting rid of that low rumble and cleans up the microphone a little bit. So I'm going to turn that on now. Next, we have the De-Esser. It's exactly what it sounds like. It takes the S's or the sibilant sounds out of your podcast, out of the microphone. I prefer to have it on for my voice. Next, we have the noise gate. You could think of the noise gate as a way that it automatically mutes the microphone when you're not speaking. So basically it has a threshold, and once you start speaking, it breaks that threshold and opens up the microphone. This can work really good on multi-guest podcasts, but I don't like it as much when it's a solo podcast. If it's just me in a talking head video like this one, you can hear that noise gate click in and out. I'm going to turn it on right now just so you can hear it. So right there, you hear it shut right when I stop speaking. You can almost hear a little tiny click. It can be distracting as you hear it open and close, open and close, open and close. But like I said, if you have several guests on your podcast, that can be productive and help clean up your mix a little bit. I'm going to turn that off for this video though. Next, we have the Aural exciter. If you're familiar with the Focusrite Scarlett 2i2 Air mode or the SSL 4K mode, basically this just brightens those upper frequencies and gives you a bit of life. If you have somebody that's a bit drab or something like that, you might want to turn this on. It just kind of, as it says, it excites the voice a little bit, adds a little bit more brightness to the upper frequencies. It can be grating if you do it to the wrong person. So generally I would leave it off unless you're trying to achieve something really specific. And likewise, if you have somebody with a really thin voice or just not enough presence among the other guests of the podcast, you might want to consider giving them the big bottom switch here to help embolden their presence in the podcast. I would generally leave it off as a rule of thumb, but if you notice that somebody's volume is way up and they're just not, comparatively as present as some of the other guests, then you can consider turning it on. Here you go back. Next, we have the voice modes. So the tone mode here is basically like an easy EQ if you're used to other audio engineering. So this will help set some EQ profiles for the voice of the microphone, whether you have a deep voice, a medium voice, or a more high-pitched voice. I like to leave it on medium, generally speaking. Next, we can go to the strength mode here. This vocal strength, my understanding of it is it just gives more information to the compressor. For example, if you're really soft-spoken, maybe the compressor will add a little bit more gain to keep you bumped up a little more often. And if you're really strong, then it'll increase the attack and compression ratio to help squish you down into a lower dynamic range if you're always going off with a lot of personality and dynamics. So that's something that you can use there. And that's really all there is to setting up the Shure SM7B with the Rodecaster. You would follow the same steps for all the other channels. If you have any questions about anything that we covered in this video, please leave a comment down in the comment section below. Again, if you are wanting to see pricing or specs for the microphone, the Cloudlifter, the cables, the headphones, anything like that, we have tons of helpful links to make sure that you're finding the best price possible. And if you want to see more videos like this in the future, please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.